I could just pass on to Pete Smith, who's now speaking for the National Union of Teachers. There are a number of trade unionists here today. I'm pleased to see the banner from the Unite Union. There are also people from GMB, Amicus and other unions. So if I could just pass on to Pete Smith, speaking for the National Union of Teachers.
I want to start by quoting a piece from Palestinian TV that I heard about. It's about a 10-year-old boy in Gaza talking to his dying brother. Start again. From Palestinian TV, it's about a 10-year-old boy in Gaza speaking to his dying brother. Dying because of a 3-year siege. Dying because of a vicious attack. He says this: "My brother was extremely hungry. He was starving, and he asked me for a tomato. I went and I brought him a tomato. He ate it and he stopped talking. He stopped talking because he'd died." We have to say this is what happens when one of the world's most heavily armed states, one of the world's most barbarous and murderous states, uses its tanks and bombs and planes and helicopter gunships against women and children in one of the most densely populated parts of the world. Each evening on our news, on our TV screens, we hear about something called a conflict. It's a conflict. This is a sanitisation. What we're witnessing in Gaza is a massacre. And it's a massacre hidden by lies. Lie one: Israel can't talk to Hamas because Hamas is only interested in bombing Israel. In fact, Hamas repeatedly offered peace talks from the moment it was elected, democratically elected in 2006. Hamas didn't need a member of their family to nick an election and give it to them like a certain American president did. Israel turned down those offers because Israel is only interested in crushing and driving out Palestinians. While Hamas offered peace, Israel planned to level Gaza's neighbourhoods. Lie two: Hamas broke the ceasefire. Not true. The Israeli Defence Force, the Israeli Defence Force, the very name is another lie. The Israeli army broke the ceasefire when it launched its raid in early November, and it had planned the attack for 8 months, and the lies multiply. Every time they bomb a school, every time they bomb a hospital, they have a ready lie ready to cover it up. And underneath all of those, perhaps, is the biggest lie of all: that the victims are actually the people to blame. It's all the fault of the Palestinians. Blame the small boys who throw stones at tanks. We see small boys throwing stones at tanks. Not once do our media ask, why do small boys throw stones at tanks? Why are there so many Davids to fight Goliath? I'll tell you why small boys throw stones at tanks. When you oppress a people, any people, for 60 years, when you steal their land, when you destroy their homes, when you rip up millions of their trees, when you murder their families and friends, something happens. Small boys turn into heroes. That's what happens. For 40 years, Gaza and the West Bank have been a prison for Palestinians. Over the last decades, under the cover of peace talks, the Israelis have never allowed to be genuine peace talks. More and more Palestinian land has been stolen, and now the mask is off. What can we do? First, we can say to Israel, the whole world is watching. When Israeli Foreign Minister Livni says she expresses regret for civilian deaths, we can say the world knows Livni is a liar. We know, as the United Nations know, that they have repeatedly targeted schools, they repeatedly target refugees, they've repeatedly targeted civilians, and this is a long Zionist tradition. From the very moment when the State of Israel was formed and terrorist attacks were used to drive Palestinians from their homes, it is a long Zionist tradition. We have to demand now that the European Union cancels the upgrading of its relationship with Israel. This is an agreement, a series of agreements, which are basically built on the back of the Palestinians, which the Israelis have profited from handsomely. We have to demand that Britain stops arming Israel. So far, first quarter this year, £20 million worth of weaponry. We have to raise our voices against the situation where the USA funnels vast amounts of weaponry to Israel. And we have to demand that our government and David Miliband stop echoing Israel by pretending that it's Hamas that are to blame for the violence. We should call on the British government to withdraw the ambassador to Israel. We should expel the Israeli ambassador from the UK. We have to make so much noise for justice that nobody can ignore us. Palestinian children are our children. Justice for Gaza. Justice for Palestine.